If you have just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Governors want each state to determine new minimum wage. CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso declares end to Naira devaluation panic. Health authorities confirm 2 deaths from cholera outbreak in Rivers State. Mauritania's president promises to respect poll outcome. Let's move to business-related matters, where the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has declared an end to the recent panic over the Naira devaluation, attributing the stabilisation to restored liquidity in the market. The CBN governor highlighted a significant improvement in market conditions, saying Nigeria's total foreign exchange inflow reached $24 billion in the first quarter of the year. He emphasized that the nation's financial challenges were temporary and expressed confidence in the recent policy efforts by fiscal authorities to boost revenues and the tax to gross domestic product ratio. To discuss this, I'm joined by Chartered Accountant Akin Fatunke. Akin, thank you for joining me on the news. Let's get straight to it. The CBN governor has declared an end to the recent panic over the Naira devaluation, attributing the stabilization to restored liquidity in the market. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are very simple. The CBN governor is doing what needs to be done. By the way, good evening and good evening to Nigerians. He is obviously trying to engender hope and coming back to let Nigerians know that some of the reforms that have been happening on the monetary side is beginning to yield fruits. So what else do you expect the central bank governor that's been working virtually around the clock on the one side that we have, and looking at the scorecard for the first quarter, I'm saying 24 billion, that's great. Very great news.
Yeah, but just a quick follow-up to that. In reality, just a quick follow-up to that, apologies, but in reality, is that the situation?
Oh, yes, first quarter 24 billion, yes. Except that I also know that it can be a perfect situation. I know the effects coming in from the diaspora also have it's 1 or 2 ways of leakages. Are we gathering, or should we not be comparing what we have here into the more glorious age that we had when FDI was flowing in, like they say, downtown Yafun. But the economic condition and the economic environment that we found ourselves now is such that we are coming from a morass. So I believe that it can be done better, especially if you consider the fact that most sub-Saharan African countries are now getting into the kind of peonage that is linked to IMF and conditionalities. Nigeria is learning, opening our eyes very wide and learning what is happening to Kenya. But again, Dakpo, when you ask me that question, is that really what is happening? I begin to smell a little bit of a rat, because I think you have asked the right question. Are we really doing the right thing? Do we have engendered trust in the system? Do we still have a revenue generation problem? Yes. Do we still have spending problem? Yes. Are we budgeting all right? Do we have carrying the whole of the country all around? But I am happy that the CBN governor has lived to his promise to pay all outstanding obligations to the airlines, at least effectively the ones that have been audited. I'm also happy that it's not been fixed in one direction. Quite a number of policy options getting across. I'm so happy that we have a CBN governor who has decided to face his job very, very squarely. I've not heard that he wants to be president of Nigeria and that I mean, if you understand what I'm trying to say there.
Okay, but
regulation is likely to be his focus. But the other side still has to work on the physical side. He's speaking for the physical side. And also cannot speak for the physical side. Yeah.
Okay, why I asked all of that is because, I mean, Nigerians are still complaining about the cost of living itself, talking about, even the cost of doing business. We are seeing large companies, exit the country, maybe not in droves, but I mean, in a very long time, the exodus has been quite, alarming. But my question is this: what are the short-term and long-term economic impacts of improved liquidity, particularly on the Nigerian economy, such that it can also, boost investor confidence?
Therefore, in the short term, little takes here and there to begin to allow governance in all aspects of our endeavor to engender trust, and for the physical side to begin to speak and not just speak because we want to speak. I want to begin to see action. In the medium term, also, I do not see a situation where we are going to get a quick turnaround per se, but in the long term, we can be looking at inflation. We can be looking at the supply side, because the liquidity thing that we are talking about, can we begin to fix the supply side from the physical aspect? Can we, therefore, my dear friend and brother who is looking at our tax regime, now harmonize tax in such a way that we don't have double taxation? And also at a time when, like you said, cost of living is high, can we begin to now stagger this in a little bit of a direction? Most importantly, to me, is that the executive must now begin to show the kind of example that we expect to see, not the discordant voices I think I'm hearing as regards wanting to get a presidential plane and all that, minimum wage. We are still not going the right direction. All this engendered trust. For me, I think the long-term implication will be stability in the macroeconomic environment. People, SMEs, can now begin to assess funds in a better way, not necessarily by throwing funds, because I see that after the CBN governor spoke, the president of the Federal Republic also now came and was appealing to governors. I do not think appeal will work it. We need to work the structures. We need to begin to lead, for example. And by the time we begin to do this, trust is going to be engendered, but we need to change the economic, physical landscape. Call it restructuring, call it changing the concept, but the situation where we're still not looking directly at the security challenges that we have. Don't forget about that.
Akin, because we're pressed for time, let's talk about the predictions for the Naira's performance in the coming months, considering this current development. What do you see happening?
I see Mr. Cardoso as a headmaster. I see him as a conservative person. For him to have gone to Bloomberg and made fundamental statements, again, we'll see how things go. He's just spoken about the first quarter. I have a feel that he's beginning to see numbers coming in for, April, maybe for May, and then we can rack up in June, seeing that the leakages are dwindling. I foresee a situation where in this short term, if the economy, and that is it, the what if, res ipso facto, given all the facts that we have, and all things being equal, ceteris paribus, everything begin to work in some right direction in the medium term, we are going to see a bit of a stability of looking at the liquidity coming in and then looking at the demand side. If we decide to quote according to cloth and begin to see what happened in Kenya that should not also happen to us, we do not wait until when we get there. I will begin to find a way that hopefully with what the governments are saying, they begin to lead by example so they can at least put behind us this minimum wage or no minimum wage, portfolio. But setting those examples, FX, according to what IMF and what Bloomberg is saying, that towards the end of the year, which to me looks like a bit of a long term, should be traded at 1.4, 1.5, 1. For the planning purposes, I think it's going to really augur well.
All right.
In the long term, I see the Nigerian economy. If we do not continue to see the capital flight that we see, we have capital flight and it's being replaced here and there, and we begin to bring the confidence into the economy. Look, Dakpo, the truth of the matter is that for us to move in the right direction, we must continue to produce, must make sure that our appetite for imported goods right from the top is curtailed, and we begin to see that people get back to the farms and do what they need to do and take care of security too.
All right, Akin Fatunke, thank you so much for your contribution on the news at this time.
Always a pleasure, Dakpo. Thanks for having me.